Brevard County must constantly reach out to tourists to support local hotels and attractions, even professional baseball and the Brevard Zoo. But how we market ourselves and to whom has come up a lot in the news lately. With no human spaceflight for years, should the Space Coast primarily market Cocoa Beach instead? How important are the Washington Nationals spring training games in Vieira? And what's the niche, if any, for South Brevard? I put those questions and more today to a local marketing pro and friend of the program. Donna Blancha is president of Balance Marketing. She worked the past 4 years for the Brevard County Tourist Development Council, helping the Nationals, Port Canaveral, and local events. Before that, Blancha covered the tourism and cruise industry for Florida Today. Take a look. Donna, the space program and the lull between human space flights always seem to draw a lot of people out to watch people take flight. How is that affecting tourism here in Brevard? Is it really, do we have other things to fall back on, or how is it impacting us?
Well, you know, one of the main initiatives, of course, being called the Space Coast. It's such a successful moniker, and one that has, you know, there's an attempt to attract more space flight. Whether it's a manned launch or an unmanned launch, and now going into commercial space flights, it's very important to keep the Space Coast moniker. And you know, we have a diverse amount of activities here to participate in.
Well, there was that, at least it came up as an idea a little while ago and had everybody in the county concerned. What, you know, was, should we, until at least the next major human flight, maybe think about marketing Cocoa Beach a little bit more and call ourselves the Cocoa Beach area or Orlando's beach, as opposed to the Space Coast and the tourism marketing? It sounds to me like you favor the former?
Well, I'm taking a neutral stance because while the bulk of the inventory is in Cocoa Beach, and of course there is the desire to market it as almost as Cocoa Beach County, you know, being that we're trying to attract more space companies and, you know, more flights to our area, and you know, with the efforts from the Titusville area to have a spaceport and, you know, keep the legacy going, Space Coast is still a very nice idea. However, when you travel overseas, people do tend to recognize Cocoa Beach. And there is the legacy again as, you know, I Dream of Jeannie and all that kind of thing. So it's, you know,
so maybe you go for all of that.
You go for all of it. You know, Space Coast, Cocoa Beach, Melbourne Beach, Palm Bay. You have to incorporate everyone.
Now, we have this new space shuttle attraction at Kennedy Space Center Visitor Complex. You've been out in the world to see how that's going. Is that a big boon for us, or what do you think?
Oh, is that a boost? It's lovely, and it's really, it brings a tear to your eye when you see it. People from all over the world seem to be going there to check it out. It's really amazing, and if you haven't been there, you ought to go.
Have you've been there?
Oh, yes.
Okay, so what kind of reaction did you hear to that?
Well, it's just when you see it, and they have a very dramatic display, and the curtain rises, and you know, there's the Atlantis right in front of you. It really makes everyone very emotional. And what I overheard when I was there a couple of times is that it's just wow. That's the only word. Wow, it's amazing.
One of the other things that's been in the news lately has been an effort to try to keep the Washington Nationals in Brevard County. A lot of spring training teams down here always looking for a better deal. Orlando, Tampa, Palm Beach County, they might be closer to other teams. You've been involved a little bit in trying to market the Nationals here in Brevard. Are they really a tourism draw here, and what did you see there?
The Nationals being a championship team, it's a lovely thing to say that you have them in your backyard. And as far as a tourism draw, of course people want to see them play, whether it's in the off season or if it's during spring training or if it's during the regular season. So it's really important to keep them around.
You organized some like media events for them. I know you invited me to a couple of those. What were you hearing from the people that were there in terms of, I don't know, our facilities, the experience, the team?
Well, the facilities, of course, you know, always require maintenance. And keeping the team involved it's more about, I think, the traveling distance than it is about our actual facilities, because we've been working very hard to maintain the stadium and keep it up to par. So, you know, as the Nationals have mentioned recently, and you know, we've been making terrific outreach to maintain keep the team here. But as they've even said, there may be a challenge with the actual distance between our stadium and the rest of the, you know, preseason stadiums.
are there things that are hard to sell people on? Are there parts of, let me rephrase that, are there parts of America that are easier to get people to Brevard County or to Florida that are easier than others? Is Washington a tough sell, for example, versus Chicago?
Well, if I remember correctly, we have had, and we still do have flights, of course, to Washington, D.C. because of our DoD obligations and, you know, with some of the major technology companies we have. So I think there was a natural partnership between Washington, D.C. and our county.
Right.
So I think that it lends itself very well to, you know, we've done some various promotions where we've had banners hanging, you know, vice versa in our stadium and up there, and it's just been a real nice partnership. So it would be a shame if that went away. So
it's trying to reach those people who might be likely to come down for spring training and then try to capitalize on the existing airlift, as some people in the business call it.
Exactly.
Okay. A couple other things that have been in the news. I just wanted to get your reaction to it. Cocoa Beach Mayor Dave Netterstrom came out in the paper. It was kind of funny, but it was he offered a all-expense-paid trip to Cocoa Beach for any extraterrestrial family, or the first one that decides to show up for a vacation here. What do you make of that?
I think it's adorable. I think it's a fantastic idea. Anything that it gets people talking is such a great thing to promote yourself, even if you're promoting your own business or you're promoting a destination. Anything that gets people talking is always great. And you know, I'd like to be there when they check in at the hotel, those aliens.
I would absolutely too, and you know, they might reach us before we send somebody else to another planet at the rate we're going here.
Good point.
But it sounds like, you know, as long as it fits the mission, right? As long as it fits the image.
Absolutely. Space Coast is a great moniker because, you know, Florida's a lovely state. We have a lot of beaches. And so what sets us apart and our beach apart, other than the waves and the surfing, of course, is the space legacy. And, you know, we've had the Apollo programs, the shuttle program, you know, and even our unmanned launches and our future in commercial space. It's very important to keep that. So, yeah, the Dave Netterstrom's little gimmick with the aliens is a really good idea.
Okay, but, you know, yes, we are the Space Coast. I certainly don't want to see the nickname go away. If I'm a hotelier in Cocoa Beach, is that what I'm thinking is the main draw to Brevard County? Am I trying to capitalize on the Space Coast image? Or, you know these players, what do they think Brevard County should be marketed as?
Well, you know, it's a 72-mile-long county with very many diverse assets. You have nature up in more in the northern area, you have nature in the southern area, and in between you have, you know, Cocoa Beach with its great nightlife and, you know, fun pier and surfing legacy, and you know, Melbourne Beach, which is more mellow with turtle nesting and beautiful, romantic, and lovely beaches, you know. So it's really hard to put it all under one umbrella name, which is why there's a continual back and forth about Space Coast, Cocoa Beach, you know, and the Cocoa Beach hoteliers are a pretty good group of people. They, you know, they work hand in hand with the southern-based, you know, hotels and businesses. So it's always a, you know, it's always a back and forth dialogue.
Ecotourism is something that I hear a lot, right? You know, come kayaking, go birding. I don't know, go look at turtles like you just mentioned. I mean, is it really that big of a segment of what we do here in Brevard that we need to continue to reach out and promote?
Absolutely. You know, it has really evolved from the backpack guy with Birkenstocks to becoming a very upscale sort of a, you know, hobby. The Space Coast Birding Festival is one of the top birding festivals in the United States. So therefore, you know, the promotion of outdoor activity, kayaking is so huge now. It is one of the top exploits for people. Nature enthusiasts, you know, in Titusville we have a brand new kayaking store. We have, you know, great surf stores here. So it's just a real outdoorsy kind of a place, and it's so lovely whether you're on the lagoon or on the ocean. Lagoon needs a little help these days, though. You know, the health of the lagoon is not in the best shape, and people really need to be aware that we need to help the lagoon. And, you know, if you can somehow not use so much fertilizer on your lawn. From a purely selfish standpoint, you know, from the tourism aspect, you know, we want people to come here and use the lagoon and enjoy the lagoon, kayak. We want people to go surfing in our ocean, and it needs to be clean. So we need to take a vested interest and work together, you know, in unity to help promote our county and the rest of the state of Florida as a clean, safe, beautiful place to go.
The British Petroleum leak, I guess it was more than a leak, it was a volcano of oil that kind of erupted underneath the Gulf, and now BP has been making amends both with some big fund and payments that they made to state to promote tourism. How does Brevard County fit into that picture?
Well, it's really up for discussion still, frankly. You know, BP made some restitution funds to a lot of people who may or may not have justly earned, you know, the right to repair. We had a lot of, there's been some fraudulent, you know,
people trying to game the system to get the money.
People trying to game the system to get the money, yes. And so Brevard County is competing against the Gulf, which a lot of the counties there, you know, obviously received a lot of restitution funds. And so with the small budget Brevard County has, you know, to compare to, you know, some of the Gulf counties, it's been a challenge. So is there still the ability to, you know, make an inroad into the BP restitution funds? I don't know. It's a matter of talking to attorneys, and it requires a group effort. Maybe perhaps a few of the counties on the eastern seaboard need to, you know, bond together and then step forward together.
You spent a number of years, 4 years, I believe, working in conjunction with the Tourist Development Council here in Brevard County. What did you do with the TDC?
Well, basically, we try to get the word out to reporters and to, you know, media people about how wonderful it is to come here. And, you know, we reach out to, you know, newspaper, websites, social media. It's very important now to include the social media and all sorts of platforms because that's where it's at. So we create awareness, create stories, get people to, you know, take a look and say, oh, that's a place I want to go.
What did you find, what kind of stories did you find caught on best outside of Central Florida, maybe Brevard, I mean not Brevard, but maybe outside of Florida?
Well, you know, surfing is such a popular thing.
Okay.
And, you know, to differentiate ourselves from a lot of the West Coast beaches, of course, we have waves. And,
right.
you know, people, this is the home of Kelly Slater, you know, and so it's just really great to have that kind of, that
Ron
surfing
Johns.
And that hip, yeah, Ron John, huge, you know, it's surfing, it's hip. You can do it, it doesn't cost anything. And in this economic climate, you know, it's really nice for somebody to just grab a surfboard and run out to the beach and hit the beach. So surfing is an important, you know, aspect to promote. And, you know, basically just the fact that it's Cocoa Beach and it's got that name and, you know, it's lovely. And also, you know, I mean, obviously, again, Space Coast, Cocoa Beach, you know, to be able to go watch, you know, see the Atlantis up close, to be able to go to Kennedy Space Center and to have that legacy is just so important.
Is it a hard sell?
Oh, no, not at all.
No, it's not?
Not at all. And if people, you know, I think the toughest thing is we need to continue to pitch and put out more awareness, because I think the lack of awareness is like, well, it's always like, it seems to me, in my experience, you know, where exactly is Cocoa Beach? Is it near St. Augustine? Is it near Miami? Like, there doesn't seem to be, you know, it's in Central Florida. Is it? And so we say, well, we're the closest beach to Orlando.
Okay.
We're right near Orlando. And I think that also is an initiative, is to grab some of that Orlando business and bring it here, and that helps spread the awareness.
Let's talk about the cruise industry a little bit in Port Canaveral. I mean, I just had an interview with Stan Payne, the past CEO, who just got done negotiating this 6-year contract with Carnival Cruise Lines. So that we know they're going to be here for some time. They're looking at getting in maybe 1 or 2 of these mega ships, right? And where are they going to put them? There's debate over whether they're going to have to move boat ramps and the like. How do local people marketing tourism in Brevard County interact with the cruise lines? Don't the cruise lines pretty much take care of that themselves? I mean, do you have to do anything? Explain.
Well, we're very fortunate because Port Canaveral is the #2 port in the world, arguably.
Okay.
You know, in passenger count. And, you know, bringing in the new ships and bringing in more people. You know, people need a place to sleep before they go on their cruise, and they may need an overnight when they return from their cruise. So that is a really nice niche business for the local hoteliers. And so to pitch this cruise and snooze has been an initiative. It's very nice. And, you know, the port is growing, and, you know, really to hold hands with Orlando International Airport. They're going to be having, you know, meetings together and that kind of thing. It's great to share the wealth, so to speak. And so it's just a very big part of our tourism initiative. So
the key is really to reach out to the people who are on the boats, not figure out some way to advertise to people to come and take a cruise from Port Canaveral?
Well, it's a mix of a strategy that is still, there's an ongoing dialogue about what is the best way to get people who are arriving in Orlando to go to the cruise to perhaps take a night in one of the hotels locally before they get on their cruise and then after they, because it's very nice to just go to a hotel and know that the next morning you can, in many of the hotels you can leave your car, okay, for the duration of your cruise, and then you take a little shuttle over to the cruise line and then you come home. So it's nice, rather than stay in Orlando and then racing to the boat the next morning. So it eases them into their vacation.
I heard somebody from the hotel industry explain that one of the things that they capitalize on literally is just the fear of missing the boat, right? So you've spent all this time saving up for your vacation for your family. It's a big production. You get yourself to Florida. The last thing you want is to try to get from the airport to the ship, and take a chance that your flight's canceled or whatever, so they want to stay the night before someplace, right? Mm-hmm. And then be sure that they're there first thing in the morning.
Absolutely. I agree with that.
They're building a large concert venue out there. Make a difference?
You might want to talk to the King Center about that.
Oh, really?
I mean, I don't know, because it would bring another venue to the county, whereas the King Center has been pretty much the center of all our cultural, concerts and that kind of thing. So, but it looks like it's in the pipelines for sure. You have a lot of people involved with that.
Can I have a Miley Cyrus contest or concert here? Maybe Robin might get some people out to.
Right.
I don't know.
The audience would be in shock.
Oh, well, I understand it's supposed to be for A-list kind of shows, right? They want to build a big one.
Top notch. I don't know if I'm at liberty to discuss really all the companies that are involved, but there's some great local people who are involved. Of course, the port is really reaching out, and one thing I will commend the port is certainly making more inroads to a private industry. They're putting out bids for beautiful. They really want to develop the port now. That's a great thing. It's really great.
I thought of you the other day. I was driving down, coming home from Tallahassee, and I noticed coming down the turnpike in I-75, it looked like Port Canaveral had bought all available billboards. There were basically 3 billboards. There was Charlie Crist for the People, Morgan & Morgan billboards. There were the anti-abortion billboards, and then there was Port Canaveral. Go to Port Canaveral to go fishing. Go to Port Canaveral to buy a bikini. Go to Port Canaveral to go camping. Is that the right approach for a port, do you think? I mean, does that make a difference?
Caught your eye.
Well, that's true.
And anything that gets your attention is great. So, it's a unique product we have. And it takes, as I mentioned, a variety of ways to promote it, whether it's billboards, handheld technologies, the web, Facebook. It's going to take, a real nice focused effort on, trying to get out to different kinds of media moving forward.
Is there one or another approach that you think is the most cost effective? You really get the most bang for your buck?
Today, I think if you were to ask anyone that question about any product or anything they want to promote, social media would be the way to go.
Really? So Facebook, Twitter, Google+, that kind of thing?
Absolutely, because you're getting so many eyeballs and so many visitors, websites, handheld, especially anything that's interactive. We're at a time in our lives and, in our country when people want to have a voice, and they don't necessarily want to just read something that's static in a newspaper or, where they can't react. Everybody wants to react. So that's why the success of, TripAdvisors and Yelp, because it gives people an opportunity to talk back. So anything that's interactive where people can say, hey, I was at this today and it was great, or I went here and I enjoyed myself. It's very, very important. Social media is the way to go.
Imagine there are probably corners of Brevard where reaching out and finding ways to find people could be especially helpful, given that it's hard to advertise these areas. South County being one of them, for example, Indialantic, that area. What's the hardest thing for the hotels and tourist interests in that part? Well,
we're getting this fantastic Bass Pro Shop is coming.
Okay.
And that's a huge initiative for South County. They're going to be hiring people, and there's a lot of enthusiasm towards the outdoor life, as you know, living here so many years yourself. And so that's a top-notch draw. And they're planning a lot of things around that, and rightly so.
Like special events?
Special events, and possibly maybe interacting with the city to to perhaps put a road through there, that might bring people from the Bass Pro Shop out to the lagoon, perhaps to go fishing. I mean, I think I've heard that bandied about. So there's opportunities to capitalize on, bringing people here and reaching out. For instance, the turtle nesting and all the things that you just mentioned, the hoteliers in South County. We need to bring more people here. That 192 might not be the best venue to bring people from Orlando to our South County. And it's a little bit of a truck to go across that 528 and head south.
So you got to give them a reason.
Got to give them a reason.
It's not a destination all by itself. People need to be there to do business or to shop, to do a special event, that kind of thing.
Absolutely. And I will say Tuckaway Shores and, the Hilton and Crown Plaza, and on the other side, on the mainland, Jim Ridenour with the hotels, they're doing a really nice job of getting the word out. So, and pitching South County as a different type of entity than, Central and North County. So it's tough. It's a 72-mile long county, as I mentioned,
right.
And with different, it has different characteristics all throughout, and all lovely.
You did something interesting for a while, and that was working with tourists from China in Brevard County. Talk about that a little bit.
Well, there's a lot of interest from the Chinese people in our technology and our education. And, at Kennedy Space Center, they have these fantastic classes and camps, Space Camp, and all the camps for the kids where they build robots and they go head-to-head, all the groups. It's really amazing. And Senator Thad Altman's running the Astronaut Memorial Foundation up there, and he tends to stop in on these groups of wonderful tourists that come from mostly, children and classes that come from other countries to see our great stuff. And, China's got the most money in the world right now. Why not try and get a piece of that? And it's not just a Brevard or a Space Coast initiative. It's statewide and probably nationwide to bring more Chinese visitors. So it's always a challenge. We always have to look for new markets to develop, and can't just depend on the local drive market, which is important. But we got to start reaching out to other new and innovative areas.
So China has reasons to come here. Technology, space, that kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
But what are some of the challenges? I mean, it seems awfully far.
It is a little far, but I mean, they're getting a piece of American, education, and that's something that is so valued overseas. I'm sure you're aware, that many people who are big shots in Europe and in the Middle East have gone to school here, and there's a reason. Because we have the best education system, and people are aware of that. So it's a nice legacy to have.
Do they come here to visit universities too, or
that too? Yes, we hosted the Chinese heroes of the earthquake, kids who really went all out and saved each other during the earthquake several years ago, and we made sure that they visited FIT, and I think eventually. One of the kids ended up enrolling there and going to school there.
Is that right?
Yeah. So it's a real nice effort.
How does the airport, Melbourne Airport, fit in? It seems like it's now mainly an industrial hub and a landlord for great tech companies. Is it working the way we would hope that it would work when it comes to visitors?
Well, we can all stand to, get more excitement in our lives.
Sure.
And at this point, Melbourne Airport is such a lovely facility. I mean, it's a gorgeous airport.
Yeah, and it's easy to get through.
It's really easy to get through. Are they trying to get new airlines to come in there? Yes, every day. It's challenging because, when you have Orlando International here that hosts all the airlines, it's very challenging to say, well, you need to also put a plane here because we can also get flights to DC and New York for you. We have a lot of people along our coastline that don't want to drive to Orlando, but it's a tough pitch, and they're doing a very nice job over there. Richard Ennis and his team, absolutely wonderful, but it's a challenge. It's a growth thing. We need we need the Vero Beach people to, write letters. It's just really a tough go. I don't have.
At some point, the airlines will detect the market, right? They'll know there are business travelers leaving here. There are people that want to come down for their families. If more snowbirds wind up here, or more, retirees from the Northeast come down. But it just seems like it's a matter of time.
It's a matter of time.
Good. What advice do you have for local businesses that want to promote themselves?
Well, in this day and age of social media, it's very important to have a web page, have a Facebook page, get on Twitter, do all these other ones that are popping up just to make sure that you're out there. Do Instagram, get photographs out there, talk about what you're doing. You can put your specials on there. Depending on what kind of business you have, we suggest to the hoteliers to, always put your specials on there. If you have a Valentine's Day, discount, or if you're a retailer, put what's going on. Because the interactivity is such an important thing today. And, people love it. They just love being involved. It's very time consuming. I suggest devoting 1 hour a day to it if you can, but in the long run, it'll save you a lot in, other efforts.
And some of the platforms are easy too, right? I mean, Facebook, it takes nothing to set up a page. With your picture, testimonials, things going on, little news from your business and what you're working on.
Absolutely. Facebook is a great avenue for businesses to pursue. It's wonderful.
If you had, we traditionally think about people joining the Chamber of Commerce and getting out with a name tag and pressing the flesh to network and do that kind of thing, but if they only had an hour, or if they were really caught up trying to make sales or build their product, social media is, you think, the better way to go?
Social media, I wouldn't say the better way to go. Again, today with the evolving media platforms, we have to all figure out a way to make them all work together. Okay. So when you go to the chamber events, there's nothing more important than getting in front of someone. Okay. I would hate to be doing this interview via Skype.
Right. That would be no fun.
No fun at all. So sitting with you is great. It gives you the personal bonding experience. That's what you get when you go to your chamber events or other gatherings. The social media part is important because it's a chance for you to put out what's going on, rather than chamber is making the connection, establishing a rapport. Facebook is putting news out, getting people to see what you have, and just real nice.
And you can pay to advertise a little bit and reach out. It's not very expensive, from what I understand.
It's not very expensive, but again, you have to look at your budget and see where you want to put that money.
That's right. Donna, thank you so much for joining us here today, and good luck.
Always fun.
Well, that's our program. Remember to publish your comments on anything you see in this program or read in Florida Today. Send us an email at letters@floridatoday.com. We'll see you right here next week on The Matt Reed Show.